what we did yesterday, so I was just making sure.
I understand if you want to go with this stuff. Yeah, I get that. Don't worry, I understand. Yeah.
So, we still have a couple minutes before we can start, so we have to start at 4.
Exactly.
And Ian does. We can go now.
Yeah, that's good. I'll wait.
You got,
to get going.
Mr. Hare, you have 5 to 7 minutes just to give them an introduction of yourself, and then we will start on this end and move around, and each one of them can ask a question, and they'll ask questions till we run out of time at 4:30.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. McKenna, and I appreciate you all. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to stand here in front of you and get to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm Andy Hare. I am a 22-year veteran of education. I have worked in Washington County 14 of those years, 7 total in Sullivan County and 1 in Kingsport City. Cut my teeth as a teacher, both at East, and after a year came to Crockett. Was a coach. I was the head girls basketball coach down there. I coached baseball. I coached football. I was department chair 1 year. I was grad coach 1 year. I was an assistant principal 2 years, 4 years as head principal at Crockett. I was 2 years as supervisor in Sullivan County over student services, and I took care of all athletic issues, attendance, discipline, buses. Was always all the fun stuff that no one wants to deal with, to be honest with you, and I absolutely loved it. Then I had the opportunity to go back to my alma mater, and where I am now at Sullivan East as the head principal. Pretty cool, pretty exciting, just like those of you all that teach where you went to high school. When you're the 16-year-old version of yourself, you don't know if you'll ever be back, and then when you are, you're like, holy cow, this is where I went to school, and I'm a teacher here, and I've been here a while now. It's cool. I believe educators are not employees. I don't believe that they chose a career path. I think they answer a call. This is your call. Because your responsibilities have grown exponentially in the last year and a half and will continue to grow. It just will. It was always growing. You no longer are just teachers. You're also healthcare providers. You're also behavioral therapists. You're also nutritionalists. You're also a parent in a lot of ways. There's juvenile court can't survive without us. Department of Children's Services needs us. Frontier Health loves us because we now operate as a place for them to have an extra office. Think about all these things, and you have to do it in multiple platforms as teachers, virtually, in person, remotely, recording your lessons, posting them, getting the emails at any hour of the night. and you're doing it with half your children living with non-biological parents, God bless y'all. This isn't a job or career, it's a call. And I appreciate y'all doing that. Why am I interested in this position? Good question. I spent my career trying to be the best I can be. I bought everything I was sold by all my coaches. And none of them ever said, just make the team. Nobody did. They said, be the best you can be. And I want that. And I'll continue to do that. I expect that from everybody. I don't want people just to be satisfied with where they at. It didn't have to mean they got to be a director of schools, but it can mean they could be the best teacher in their building. It could be the best mathematician that's out there. They could be creative. I mean, all the great things that's brought me to this point, it's because of what I learned from my colleagues. The stuff that people think I'm doing great at East or in Sullivan County, or even has given me a seat at this table, is because of the things that I took from my colleagues, from my teachers, the programs that they came up with, the innovations that they thought about, the ingenuity that they developed, that we implemented and put into practice. That's where I got it. I don't know if I've ever had an original idea. The ideas I've had have come from collaboration with the people in the trenches doing the work. Ms. McKinney is an example of that with her STEAM night and the STEAM works that we do. We do that in Sullivan County now. The K-12 connection that we did, the high school readiness night that we do. These are things now are district initiatives in Sullivan County that we do. Excited about that, but I got it all from you guys. You all are great. You're talented. I've got perspective. I've worked here. I've worked other places. I've been there and been able to look back. I don't think people understand in this district how great you all are. I don't know if you all understand how great you all are because you're so focused on the job at hand that you don't get to see the forest because of the trees. Well, I do. I've gotten to see that. And let me tell you, you all are doing amazing work. I'm going to be quiet because they got questions. Sorry. I can keep going.
Okay. I'll start then, Mr. Hare. What would be your goals for our school system in the next 5 years?
I would like for us to be more intentional in what we do with the programs that we are offering and that we are providing. Just going with the status quo doesn't always mean that's the right thing to do. If we're going to offer programs and initiatives, if we're going to work with Northeast State or TCAT, then let's have programs at the high school level that actually apply to what is out there. Why would we continue doing things that are archaic or are no longer needed? So I think we need to be specific in what we're doing and offering those specific in the programs that we're offering. I'm sorry. That would be a huge goal that I would want to have. Another goal, it's very simple. It's not even something that you would write down. It's just be proud of what you're doing. Be proud of your school. Know that you're doing great. And understand that when Daniel Boone High School succeeds or when Grandview succeeds, then we all succeed. We can go and play each other and ball all we want. That's great. But the real winner is when our kids are ready, when our kids are thriving. So those are, I mean, how do you get there? Well, that's going to be up to all of us working together. We got to find what works. If it's not working, why do it? And we don't need to just change. I said this to the principals. I said, we don't just, a regular penny spends the same as a shiny penny. So the talent that you all have, I think could be mined a little more to come up with a lot of the initiatives that maybe that we need to get us to that next level. I'd love to see what you all had available and what you all had to offer. I mean, nobody knows what's better for kindergarten than a kindergarten teacher. Don't ask me that. I was in kindergarten, and I've had 3 kids that were in kindergarten, but I never had to teach it. There's a reason I chose to be the path that I chose. That makes sense?
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
Well, she kind of took most of my questions, so I'm going to go down to my second one, which we all agreed on, and that is, if we were to walk into your office and the radio was playing, what would we hear?
Well, you know what? I have a radio on in my office every day, and it's on 98.5. Easy listening. And at night, it's Delilah. I have a very eclectic sense of music in my repertoire. So if you've got on my iPod playlist, you're going to hear everything from Pachelbel's, Canon and D, and Bach, all the way to well, things I probably shouldn't say, but Soldier Boy. You know, I've got all of it on there, and my kids make fun of me for it. It's okay. I don't care. I work with teenagers.
You have to stay up on the time.
Dear Lord. Yeah. And they're going to make fun of you no matter what anyway. So. But that's it. That's a good question. I like that question.
Thank you for your
Yes, sir.
How will you support and encourage RTI programs in the high school setting, especially after being in this pandemic?
Boy, that's a big one. Well, we're going to have to maybe change some of our expectations right now as far as the growth that we wanted, the gaps we want to close. We have a limited amount of time to do that. So we got to realize that we are in a pandemic. So we got to see what are the essentials that we want to meet. Again, me telling you that probably is not much very helpful than me listening to what you have to tell me and how we can make that work better. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I think that's true for everything we're doing. We got to. I mentioned it to the administrators about. Let's think about 2 years from now. What's the results of this pandemic? We talked about we don't know what it does. Those of us that have had it, I've had it, and you don't know what it's going to do to you. But what about those kids? I've got 65 that's not passed. That didn't pass the class last semester in my building. What's 2 years look like for them down the road? And when we already are struggling with kids that are dealing with lack of hope, that are probably have a tendency to lean towards crime, or have depression issues, or are not going to get out of the house now because they can't. They're just used to being at home and they're not thriving. That scares me. We need to be looking at that. Yes.
What's your biggest victory and your largest challenge in your current position?
Biggest victory. You know what? That's going to sound real cheesy, but it's every day. Victory looks different every day, because every day when I see some of those kids that walk in that building of mine, I know what they're walking out of, and the fact that they got out of their house and they made it there on time. We should do a dance. Turn my 98.5 up louder and do a dance. Because those kids, you all know where they're coming from. And some of them, just the fact that they showed up today. We had one, and he's currently remanded right now. And I said, but this is the longest that child has went in his career without being disciplined. So that's good. Everybody's different, and that's what we do. Good night, that's what we do. Isn't that special? Do you realize that? You're the only people on this planet. You all out there, and everybody else that chose to be teachers, the only ones in this planet that chose a profession in this country that educates everybody. The people in Finland they don't do that. Denmark, these people we're supposed to be compared to and act like, oh, they're doing so much better. Here's what you should do is follow their procedure. No, we can't do that. We don't want to do that. We take everybody. Because I believe, and I know you all do too, and everybody's got a chance. There's a diamond inside each person. And we're diamond miners. What's the second part of the question? Sorry.
Your biggest challenge.
Well, I think mentioning how do we overcome the consequences of COVID and the lack of learning that's happened. Closing that gap. And again, I think we're going to have to be realistic in our goals and maybe take some baby steps. If that makes sense. Yes, ma'am.
My turn now. What are your thoughts about virtual learning, and who would best teach virtual students?
That's a great question. I'm a huge fan of virtual learning. And this probably is not popular to say, but I think virtual learning is wonderful. Like I've told the commissioners and I've told the principals, from the age of kindergarten through your doctorate, you can never leave your house and get all those things with online learning. We've been doing this for years. COVID has just taught us that, hey, we can facilitate that as a district. Listen, we're the only people constitutionally required to provide a free and public education at the county level. We are the only ones. So why don't we do that? Why are we limiting ourselves by not allowing a virtual option? I think we need to investigate that more and provide that. Some people are stronger. Hey, looking for those leveraging educator strengths, you know, one of the domains in your evaluation. Hey, that is something, some of us that may be struggling to find our place and where we fit in, and we just try, am I better this teacher, am I better that teacher? We may find out, hey, virtual's where I'm great. I know there's enough out there that we could house this. So get in there, find out who the best people are. I mean, I know there'll be volunteers I know that are asking to do that. But I'm a big supporter of that. I'm also a big supporter of optional learning opportunities. Why do we have to have school from 7:35 to 2:45? I mean, where's that written? I mean, why do we not have? Why can't we be creative? I mean, my stars, the jobs out there in the future, the jobs now. I mean, how many people work from home? How many people have weird hours? How many people set their own hours? I've got one teacher that teaches because he does this for fun. He has his own professional job. He's so good at it, they said, you just work whatever you want. His technical office is in California. But he's so good at what he does, he has that flexibility. Man. Anyway.
Thank you.
Yes.
As superintendent, you would have many voices trying to tell you what's best for our county. So
Yes.
what process would you use to determine what is best to implement for the system as a whole?
Well, it starts with listening to you all at the building level. To me, I mean, really, I mean, like I said, who knows better than you all? And perspective, you know, I had 3 phone calls yesterday, and all of them were negative. And after we talked, they all ended positively. So once they heard from me and at the building level what we were dealing with and got the explanation, that seemed to that works. Those voices are the ones we hear first. Those you all and those at the building level. We can't ignore any of it though. It's got to be addressed. I mean, it just doesn't have to. I mean, we've got to spend a lot of time on it, but everything has to be addressed. But it starts with you all. Now, as a director, I've got 9 people that I work for that hired me that are they're gonna tell me things, and so obviously they're gonna be right up there. But education's, that's what we're doing, so that's what I'm gonna be listening to first. And what's, you were asking me about my goals, vision, what was it, where was it? Anyway, that for us to be viewed as the experts that we are, would love to see that. When my hip doctor told me that I'm fine and I could start running again, I believed him. Why? He's an orthopedic physician. He knows what he's talking about. You all are the experts in what we're talking about too. We'll go to Mr. Meyer. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. It's an absolute honor to actually get to ask a question here.
You're love.
In all honesty, and I believe I sent this to the board members as well, Coach Hare is one of the reasons I'm sitting in this seat now.
Thank you.
As a teacher. The people in my building wanted to know, as a middle school, from Jonesboro Middle School, it seems that most programs and resources are aimed at either lower elementary or high school. So can you assure something that is going to target middle school resources and opportunities?
Again, I might get struck by lightning for saying this. I don't know people's opinions in this room. I'm a huge supporter and fan of Algebra 1 in middle school. I think it's great. We're going to really be pushing that where I'm at now. I'm also a big fan of of introducing CTE programs at the middle school level. I'd like to view middle school as a mini high school and offer them, we do dual enrollment credits for the high school with colleges. I mean, why can't we do that with some opportunities like with Algebra 1 or other things? It may not have to be Algebra, but I do like that with the middle school. So that's where I'm at. Also, I'm a big fan of, it's easier where I'm at because I got one middle school. That's new. Got one middle school feeds into my high school, and we do a lot of vertical planning. I'm a big supporter of that. Working with them, make sure everybody knows we're all on the same team. You know, our goal is to, at Jonesboro is to create and prepare awesome pioneers who become awesome and amazing graduates of Washington County. Same way at the north end between any feeder school there, Sulphur Springs to Boone. I think being part of that same team is pretty special when you realize, hey, I'm part of something bigger here. So I'm a big fan of that. If that helped or not.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
As Director of Schools, what do you feel is your role and what your relationship should be with the State Department of Education?
Well, I've got to be the person that's making sure that we are accountable and we're making sure that we're doing everything we're supposed to do that they tell us to do. It's our job. I tell students this all the time. It's your responsibility to get an education. It's my job to deal with your problems. Let's do our job today. How cool would it be for you to just focus on what you're doing in your classroom that day? Let us deal with the state. We'll take care of that. And that's going to be our goal. And then we disseminate down so you can focus solely on what you're doing in the building.
Who's next? Vicki. Oh, Vicki.
Okay,
You're fine.
Vicki, take that.
I'm so busy.
It's good.
Since you're very familiar with Washington County
Mhm.
and the salary base for our teachers,
Mhm.
I have a concern, and many other teachers do, with the salary to attract and to keep the younger teachers. Historically, since I've been on a lot of the teams for a long time, it's not the problem with the board supporting a teacher raise, but we've run into it with the county commissioners. Do you have any idea how we could change that?
That's an incredible question. It's wonderful. And again, the perspective I bring will help. With the exception, our weakness in Sullivan, in Washington, in Washington County is at the beginning. But once we get to the middle, we pass in Washington County the other counties. So you're asking about keeping and retaining the young ones, and that is huge. You've got to be specific in what you're asking for and have a plan with how you can get those funds. As a former commissioner, none of us, I've served for 4 years, and everybody wanted money. Everybody did. I mean, I hated budget time because it was like everybody came to like Oliver Twist was coming up, and you want to give it to everybody, but it's a limited supply of funds. But when you make things a priority to where it's so conclusive, you have to do this, that's how you do it. Now, you don't ask for the entire stake up front. You ask for what you know you can get. Now, there's also ways we can do it within our own system. It's very could be confrontational, but has to do with really squeezing the budget. With personnel, your biggest expenses in a school are operating costs and, more importantly, your personnel. Are we adequately utilizing all our personnel and maximizing everybody? If we're not, then and we have to make adjustments there. That's how you increase pay. I mean, we went in Sullivan County from a $3 million reserve to $25 million in 7 years, and it was done through assimilation of teachers through retirement, through building closures. That's how they did that, and it's going to be going back into the personnel. It's through teacher raises. That's the plan. They also did a retirement incentive where they gave a $15,000 bonus for anybody that's eligible to retire. I like that, and so the savings that went from there are going back towards teacher raises as well. Teacher and staff raises. Rephrase it, add that to it. So I think there's some ways we can do it in-house, but until the state of Tennessee changes how we fund education and how, I mean, if we're going to get a new dollar, Johnson City's getting that new dollar too. So if we go to the commission and get more money, the city's getting it as well. So we're not closing that gap. The only way we do it is if we do it internally. So, yeah, that's tough. That's tough, and it makes for hard decisions. Yes, sir. My pleasure. Thank you.
What role do you see in professional development for teachers, and how will you implement professional development in our system?
Okay, PD's great, and I told Ms. McKinney back here, the greatest PD I've ever done is this. Interviewing. It was phenomenal, but PD is not a magic formula, okay? We can say PD is what we're going to do, this is what we're going to do. But let's be specific in it. What do you need? What do you want? I mean, I would like to tailor it around your needs. So that would, again, who knows best? You all do. People's building level. I'm a true believer in site-based management. I want my principals to be I want them to know what's going on. I want them to be the person in charge of your building. I want them to know so that they can let me know what you all need. And that's what I think the best approach is with PD. You know, like for example, for me, and I don't know if it applies to you all, but I want more help with behavioral health, behavioral therapy, behavioral health, and working with our frontier health counselor, because I have to deal with that a lot. That would be so helpful. I would love help with how to do investigation thoroughly. I mean, we got to do these things that we didn't go to school for. Those are some practical things that I got to deal with every day. I've not seen the catalog that has those things in there, but sometimes we create it ourselves. Like I said, the greatest ideas and things that I've dealt with, my biggest successes, have come from the implementation of programs that my teachers, my staff, came up with on their own. That's exciting. Design Camp. How awesome was Design Camp? It was awesome, and you all came up with that. High school readiness night, STEAM night, math night, where we taught parents how to use a math book. I mean, we just assume the parents know what to do. They don't know. I mean, I don't. I'm a principal of a high school, and I struggle. I have 3 kids going through this mess, and I struggle. I also think that schools could probably be opened up a little bit more. Why do we have to, like I said, why is school 7:35 to 2:35? Or 7:45 to, whatever the hours are. Why's it got to stop then? Why don't we provide opportunities in the evening? It doesn't have to be us doing it. It could be Northeast State. It could be TCAT. It could be ETSU. It could be Frontier Health. It could be the Department of Children's Services, whatever. We got to take the approach that we're all they got. And we got to maximize that opportunity. Yes?
What are your greatest strengths that you feel you can use to leverage for meeting Washington County's greatest needs?
Well, relentless work ethic and passion. They're going to either give me what I'm asking for or get rid of me, because I'm going to wear them out. They're going to be so tired of me. That's like I'm talking. I can tell it's like if we just stay quiet, you'll shut up. No, I get it. We have to be that way. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with people saying, man, those people in Washington County, they know what they want and know how to get it. Not like we're a bunch of crazy people, but we're like a bunch of focused, driven, goal-oriented people that are unified. I mean, how powerful is it to see people from Boone and Crockett working together, or Ridgeview and Grandview, or Westview and Sulphur Springs, South Central and Fall Branch, Gray and Jonesboro. Isn't that neat? Like I said, we can go at it on the ball court, on the football field. That's fine. We can play. But man, let's work together, because it's about being a resident and citizen of this county. Man, that's powerful. How you doing? I'm just peachy. Did I get to everybody? about in virtual land? Miss Lawson, you got a question? We're all watching.
You hear me?
Yes, they all can.
Oh, that's wonderful. So my husband graduated high school with you, and I have 2 boys that went through East. And I was very excited to see this interview here, or this meet and greet. And I watched your wonderful video, You Can't Hide Your Patriot Pride. So I'm wondering, if you come to Washington County, how are you going to hide your patriot pride?
Well, that's a great question. You know, I'm an alumni of East High School, and I always...
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I'm muted. I'm an alumni of East High School, and I always will be, and I'm proud of that,
Right.
and I will always be proud of that, and that part will always be there no matter where I'm at. But I'm all in wherever I am, and that's this school system. You all will know that as well. That same type of energy that you've seen, that same type of intentional approach to promote my community will follow me wherever I go, wherever I'm at. Thank you.
All right, guys, we got 1 minute.
Who can I ask a follow-up question?
Go for it.
To Vicky's?
Sure.
In 30 seconds, you'll solve this. How you can look around and see that this is definitely new. How would you recruit teachers of color to service?
Great question.
Students of color.
Well, first of all, they need to know, everybody needs to know what's available. I mean, are we going to our state universities that are historically black colleges, or any of our colleges for that matter, but since we're focusing on diversity, do they know about us? No. So let's let them know about us. Why can't we have information and develop those relationships with Fisk University or Tennessee State? Or why can't we do that? I say we do that. Washington County is special when it comes to that. Again, that's the perspective I think I bring here, that we don't realize sometimes. Think about that. How many African American head high school principals has this region had? Not just Washington County. Washington County has. How about chairman of the school board? What other county or school system has had an African American chairman of the school board other than Washington County? Washington County is special in that. We need to celebrate that and let our diverse communities know that we are open for business and we are welcoming for people from all backgrounds. It started and was a mentality when this place was established. The first abolitionist newspaper was written where? Right here. We are special when it comes to that. And we need to take pride in that. And we need to get that out there. And I think that'd be a great way to showcase that we're more than just talking about it. We're willing to put our money where our mouth is.
All right, that's all the time we have. Thank you all for coming.
Thanks, Amy. Thank you all.
And I guess I'll see you tomorrow.